So I'm just parked up here. I did post up coming live. So it's for the first time I'm coming live. Really don't know much about live content, but I thought it'd be a good way for people to join in, have a candid conversation, talk about everyday issues and problems, and just we can pick and choose the topics as we go. Do ask that you remain respectful at all times. We try and educate one another and learn from each other. And yeah, so I look forward to people joining in and having a chat. So I'll just be here in the back chat. I'll be monitoring that for the moment. So yeah, feel free to come on. Just while I'm doing some things in the background, weather's starting to come down here, so it's gone dark and gloomy. The rain is starting to come through, so it looks like it's going to be fairly wet week this week. It's quite cold here in Sydney. I was out till late last night, just just a work project, and it was absolutely freezing. I'm still recovering from that. It's like the coldness just goes through your bones. Can't get away from it. You can't escape it, especially if you're working in the outdoor, an open area, an aerated area where there's just no heating, no insulation, just cold, like a cool room. It was actually. I was at the Hordern Pavilion last night. Me and my team were providing security for DS Wave or D's Wave, Korean K-pop star who goes by the name of Daesung. So he made his Australian tour yesterday at the Hordern Pavilion. A big turnout, a lot of fans. Don't know too much about K-pop or Korean music for that matter. But my role was a bit more background, and there's a few clips out there on social media, Instagram. Probably see me walking alongside him in the background, obviously being his personal escort, or bodyguard if you want to call it that. We use the term personal protection. But yeah, that was fun. We've done a few of the K-pop stars as they've come to Sydney over the past 12 months. There is another group. There's a couple more groups coming this year, I think. One's coming at the end of this week. It's a boy band group. And then there'll be another one in September, but I believe that will be from Melbourne, which I'll still be involved in, but the planning, the logistics of it is slightly different. So we'll wait and see. So it looks like there's 2 people have joined up. Again, just wanting to have just a general conversation, chat about everyday things. So feel free if you want to jump in and join in. Let me know. It's no real topic, really. It's more just if you have something that you want to discuss openly, freely, as long as it's not. As long as it's respectful, we can have a chat. So again, it's the very first time I've been live. So it's kind of open at the moment until kind of set some guidelines and boundaries, and find and focus specific topics from time to time. But this is interesting. It's an experience for me. I've never been live. I don't think anyone. I'm not a TikToker. I'm not an influencer of any way. Not a YouTuber. But yeah, I've got a question here from Mr. John Citizen Smith. What do you think about the Aussie minimum wage going up to $76 an hour to match the money printed? But minimum wage is shocking. We all know that. Cost of living in Australia, specifically in Sydney, it's skyrocketing. people, families, everybody's struggling at the moment to make ends meet. People are working two jobs. Uh, the amount of hours that we're working on average, the everyday Australians working on a week basis is ridiculous. The federal government does need to step in and do something about that. Um, but it's especially if you look at the property prices here in Sydney, it's almost unattainable for an everyday working class family. Um, Even if they do, from what I've heard, there's a lot of sacrifices involved. And the mortgage repayments on houses on $1 million plus. We're talking just mortgage repayments, right? That doesn't take into account um, all the other expenses that are associated with a new home. Not sure what that means. You're serious. Yeah, well, I think John, whether you're in Newcastle, whether you're in Wollongong, it's. I think we're in the top 10. I think I saw a post the other day. The top 10 of the the most expensive cities to live in. So there's an issue with my stream at the moment. Just give me a second. Just having a little bit of connection issues here. So I take it, John, you're in the Newcastle area, and you probably would have seen the boom in Newcastle over the last decade as well. If you look at supply and demand of houses, with all these people coming in, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people coming in. I'm just saying it does you know put a strain on housing. A lot of people are trying to move into the city, and then we've got cities that are unable to grow anymore. But that will be interesting. Yeah, but I must say, property and that sort of thing is not really my forte. I dib and dab into it. Guys, just give me a second. There we go. I'm a little square on your screen, so I think that's something that you need to do to make it bigger, I suppose. Not sure. So I've got the hoodie on today. Like I said, it's freezing here in Sydney. Um, yeah, I've got a bit of a headache, so trying to cover up. So, Mr. John Smith, interesting to know a little bit more about what you do. Um, Hopefully, you're above the minimum wage. So, for those who didn't see the beginning, so I was just giving a bit of background. I'm not feeling 100% today. Was out last night. Um, so, looking after one of the Korean K-pop stars that came out to Sydney. If anyone knows about K-pop or Korean music, there was pop star that came out. His name was These Wave. He performed at the Horden Pavilion last night. So me and my team, we were responsible for his safety. So we provided personal protection for him from the time he arrived in Sydney, during his show, to and from the show, and he's scheduled to return this week. So it was a late night, late finish, very cold night. So I'm still recovering from that. Taking a little bit easy today. Nothing too heavy, and just thought I'd come on this very first live stream. Never done a live stream before. Not really sure what to expect, to be honest. It's not really something that I've even looked into in the past. It's just something that I was like, let me explore it further and see if you know can try and make some decent conversations. I'm all good. I'm all for good conversations and intellectual discussions, and as long as it's respectful and we can both learn, or everyone can learn something from it. I think that's ultimately my goal. Not a YouTuber, not a TikToker, not an influencer in any way, at least not yet. Just a general Aussie guy doing everyday Aussie things. I'm still trying to figure out all the different options here, so excuse me. So this other person here, Mr. New Serious, I'm not really sure what he's saying in the comments. Can't make sense of it. If anyone can, let me know.
Parking mode on.
Anyone else here? So I'm not even know if anyone can hear me. So if you can hear me, just do a thumbs up or something. I'm a little bit in the dark here. Oh, camera's off. See, told you, I'm not a professional at this. But it could be fun. Could be fun. New series. I don't know who you are, but can you tell me a little bit more about the little comments that you put down? You're a little square on my screen and this and that. So I'm trying to make sense of those comments, but let me know anyway. Mr. John Citizen, you still here? I'm just going to turn my camera off for a bit. I'm still here in the background. I'll be monitoring the chats. If anything else comes through, I'll jump on, but I'm still here. So just bear with me. I'm just going to do something on the other side. So again, just to recap again, so the purpose of my streams, it's nothing formal. It's more, I just want to, have an open line of discussion about things that are affecting everyday people, concerns, issues that, everyone's facing. Just talk about things in life in general. We could probably find an interesting topic to talk about, but at this stage, so early on in my streaming career, it sounds a bit funny. But I just want to keep it open, and we'll see how things go. I might maybe potentially down the line, pick out specific topics and themes for discussions, and then we can have a Q&A session on such themes. Even maybe progress through down the line, and even have a debate of some sort. But at this moment, I think it's just open for any general questions, things that are going on, things that are affecting you, and we'll see. If I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know, and vice versa. So maybe it's just using the mobile device. I can't see who's on, but I can see the number of people on. I just can't see who's who, unless someone has a bit more competency in live streaming or YouTube in general. But I can only see the number. I can't see the person. Not entirely sure what those love hearts mean or who they're from. But again, I'm here. So if anyone wants to have a chat, jump on, let's have a chat. Let's talk about anything, really, any topics that's bothering you, um, anything that you want to get off your chest. If you want to talk about what you do, talk about how to make the world a better place. I'm here. Again, I'm very new to YouTube or live streaming, so forgive me if don't have the streaming etiquette. But like I said, I'm just a normal person at this stage. I've seen a lot, done a lot. There's a lot of experiences that I've attained through various challenges and difficulties. And hopefully, if something that you can take away from it, something gets answered the correct way, or I manage to enlighten you on something, then that's something that I can take back. So it looks like there's 6 viewers or 6 people have joined the stream. So make yourselves known. Excuse me. Again, Mr. John, I think you had some good, quite decent questions. Got any more that you want to throw my way? I'll be happy to entertain. I've got about half an hour or so to kill at the moment, so hopefully there's something fruitful that can come out of the next 30 minutes. So, for instance, sorry, I was just in the background there somewhere. So, for yeah, so sorry, guys. Look, I do apologize. I do get a lot of calls that come through and stuff like that. My phone rings non stop. So, I guess if we want to set a premise, so I mean, I'm passionate about security. I'm in the industry. I've been in the industry for a while. I'm very good at what I do, and I do have a passion for providing security and protecting people. So that's something that could be a good topic of discussion. I'm open for it. If anyone has had experience in similar fields or have any issues or concerns with, people and security that they've seen or have a bad perception of security in general, maybe that's something that I'd be able to educate you more on based on my experience and how, me and my team and the company that I'm involved with, we operate. So that would be a good topic of discussion, I think, especially with the recent events. I mean, I heard about 18 months ago. If anyone is familiar, there was a security guard who was attacked outside of a venue in Sutherland. I think it was about 18 months ago. The perpetrator has just been sentenced. Shockingly, only 3 years for taking the life of another person. So that security guard was assaulted right outside the venue whilst being on shift, and he was attacked. He was assaulted by an intoxicated patron of the venue who he had kicked out. Threw a couple of punches. I think he copped 3 blows to the head, and eventually, collapsed and could not be revived. So seems like, especially with the judicial system here in Australia, 3 years for taking a life. It's a bit of a joke. So if anyone feels the same way, it's an absolute joke. And the person who did the assault is claiming that he has no recollection of that night. There's no recollection of striking that individual or that security guard. So that was shocking. 3 years for a life. Oh, I am. Oh, hello. Thanks for joining. So is that Mr. or Mrs. I am? Yes, I am. I'm Australian. So I'm Sydney. I'm Australian, naturalized Australian. Been in Australia for God knows, I don't even know how long. Since 1991. So if that considers me as Australia, then I'm Australian. What part of Australia? I'm in Sydney. So I lived in Sydney all my life. Best city in the world. Very expensive city, but the best city nonetheless. Wouldn't live anywhere else. Tried living in Melbourne for a few years. Yeah. Brisbane's not bad. I've been there a few times. Um, you know, mainly for either business trips or short holidays with the family. I do have a few family friends that live up that way, so we do try and make our way up to Queensland at least once or twice a year. But yeah, look, I'm Sydney, brought up in Sydney. There we go. I've got a bit more free time now. So Hayden, tell me a bit more about you. What do you do up in there in Brisbane? It's good old Brizzy. Oh, sorry, mate. I was just asking, what do you do up there in Brisbane? Yeah, SP, just to answer that question. So those days are gone, mate. It's all regulated now. Look, there are pros and cons. Um, buttons and cuffs, you need to have special training for, which I'm trained for. In terms of firearms, so you need to have a specific class of license to be able to carry a firearm. Now, having said that, with firearm, they're only restricted to protecting uh, money escorts and items of high value. So you can't legally carry a firearm if you're a security guard, if you're protecting a person. So they consider an item of value to be more valuable than a person. But buttons and cuffs, yep, you can carry them if the requirement allows you to. But again, you need to be fully certified and trained on buttons and cuffs. So there's a specific side course for that that you need to do. Now it depends. Obviously, each state have their own regulatory body. Here in New South Wales, we're governed by the New South Wales Police. So our licenses and everything is issued by the New South Wales Police Force. Whereas in Queensland might be a little bit different. In Victoria, again, the regulation is a bit different there. But generally speaking, unless you are either working in money escort, and you have to be employed by a company that does money escort to be able to carry a firearm. So SB, I hope that carries you. That answers your question there. Again, with everything that's been going on, with all the security issues that have happened in the past couple of years at various shopping centres, we all know what happened at Bondi. And there's been other stabbings at other locations around Sydney and interstate. So I think the question that you need to ask more is, it's all well and good to carry a firearm, but would you trust the individual carrying the firearm to carry that firearm? If you understand what I'm saying. So it comes to, you need to have a level of competence. Firearm safety training is good to have, but you also need the confidence, and it's not a tool to be used lightly, as we all know. Like, this is not the States. However, who knows what will happen, in a decade's time when things change and will become, more like the States, which is not a good trait to follow, but in light of recent events, there might be something that would probably happen. Look, and I'm all for it. I still think, high valued jobs, especially where there's high risks involved, an armed guard is a good deterrent. But that's one of the reasons why at the moment security guards are not permitted to carry a weapon. Yeah, I've got a few mates in the army who also do security side as a side gig. Really good individuals, very well trained, and they're great to put forward. We've seen the Norris nuts. Not sure whose nuts they are, but if you're referring to Chuck Norris, it's not so much psychologists Oh, yep, I was on mute. Sorry about that. So I'm not that savvy on this thing. Don't mind talking, just don't do the technology. Kind of outgrowing it. Seats getting a bit warm. Doing. So if I continue on with SP's question, again, it's not like a psych test or anything like that. So to do the basic security course in New South Wales, first you need to qualify for it. So you obviously have to have an English test, which is a pre-assessment. So once you do that, then you can proceed on and do a standard security operators course. I think they vary in terms of prices from different training organizations. I think about $1,600 or something. So once you do that, and then you can obviously add additional credentials to it. You know, if you want to work, you know, at venues and licensed premises, then you also have to have an RSA certificate, so the responsible service of alcohol, but for the security section, not as a bar staff or venue staff. So that allows you, to work around a licensed premises in Sydney and New South Wales. Another good thing to have, I think, which everyone should have, is a work. Actually, any guard or any security guard should invest in is a working with children that allows you to work, obviously, at places like schools and educational facilities where there are minors present. So you need to have that. You can also go on and do a 1B or 2BC bodyguard course, which then allows you to provide personal protection and bodyguarding services. Other subclasses include dog handling, so you can have a canine. We've got canines trained. We've got 2 trained security canine dogs and a fully marked canine vehicle. So those dogs go out everywhere, and they're great for diffusing situations too. So you've got a huge crowd control problem. You don't need to unleash the dogs, but just having the dogs there does make a huge difference, especially when you're, let's say, outnumbered. About 2 dogs, yeah, you can't get outnumbered with 2 trained dogs. So that's your dog handling, and then you've got additional stuff like, like I said, your F subclass if you're firearms trained and certified, and then there's also an E for private investigation, PI work. So there's a lot of different avenues and paths you can take within the industry if you want to make a career out of it. So how old are you, Hayden, if you're in the Army Cadets? Have you thought about joining the Army Reserves or, joining in as a career path, an Army officer? 14, you're a bit young. Well, you've got to do. So there's different, what they call them, aptitude tests that you need to undertake for different levels of service within the Army. So you've got different aptitude tests for an infantryman. You've got a different aptitude test if you want to do things like military police, MP, different aptitude tests or different competency level if you want to be something like a specialist or a commando. If you want to, have a certain speciality other than infantry, then, the levels of competency are higher or lower depending on that base. But another interesting thing was the military police. I was interested in that at a younger age as well. Sniper, why would you want to be a sniper? You're playing too much Call of Duty. Isn't that right? Oh, actually, you guys don't play Call of Duty anymore. What do you guys play? Fortnite or something, right? So I do know there's a lot of speciality training for in sniping school. Requires a lot of patience. There's a lot of psych evaluation goes into snipers or candidates or applicants for sniping positions. Yeah, look, it is sad. I've seen the video, and there's a lot that I take out of it, and we can conduct training or coaching based on the events that unfold and the incident itself. The guy was just doing his job, and look, it shouldn't have gone to that. It comes down to training as well, I suppose. But we've got to get real. 3 years convicted for what you could say is aggravated assault causing murder or second degree murder. 3 years. So he'll be out by 2027, I think, because he's already been incarcerated for 18 months since he was charged. So he's got another 18 months or so to go, and he'll carry out that sentence, and he may even get released earlier based on his mental capacity. The judge, look, I haven't researched it too much, but I know the judge said he showed remorse and this and that, but it's all well and good. At the end of the day, you've taken a life. Yeah, correct. So you can't directly join the army and say I want to be a sniper. So you've got to go through the basics. So you've got to go through basic training. You've got to go through infantry training. You've got to go through rigorous tests and prove yourself out in the field. And then the army would select the best of the best and invest in those infantry men to pursue a speciality in a specific field, such as sniper. But look, if it's something that you want to do, if it's the army will give you, great discipline. It will also give you a lot of life skills and camaraderie and teamwork. So it's if there's if you're not looking into getting a specific profession or a trade, then it's not a bad path to take. Obviously, it's not all about guns and toys. You do take away a lot of skill sets from it, which can improve your life, can improve you and make you into a better man. Just purely, based purely on discipline, which a lot of people lack nowadays. I remember growing up, discipline was everything. Now you hardly see, people don't even know what the word discipline means, which is frustrating. Yeah, see, intelligence officer on IO, that's a very specialized field. Obviously, they're sifting through various intel from, could be sources, both domestic and international, other agencies that they're linked with, and just sharing intelligence and then passing on to the right teams. It's a lot of sifting, a lot of analysis. Again, it's not for everyone. It's very data based and making sense of things that don't make sense. Oh wow, AFP, that's something that I was always interested in. Again, training for AFP is much different to state police. They've got their own set of guidelines. AFP is obviously not dealing with anything localized. Their jurisdiction is federal, so any federal assets. They look at fraud. They look at international crime. Again, they're linked to various other agencies internationally. So it's very, very different type of police work to your standard local police. Well, that's the thing too. So with the AFP, a lot of it is psych. So a lot of psychology involved, and they've got behavioural analysis and things like that. So yeah, you could say it's sort of similar to Criminal Minds. I mean, I watched all those shows. I'm a big cop show fan. From NCIS to things like Chicago PD and you've got your Criminal Minds and all this and that. So I've watched them all. I'm a huge fan. Look, nightlife in Sydney was probably better before the 2000s, and obviously, the lockout laws and everything like that. Look, I'm not a huge going out type of person after hours. Obviously, my work takes a lot of my time. I've also got a family, so my time is spent there as well. I do, however, when I have some free time on a Friday or Saturday night, I'll go out and I'll visit my guards out in the field. I'll do what, if you want to call it, a bit of a quality assurance. I'll also go in there into the venues, make sure that they're doing all right, manage complaints and things like that. So that's my bit of going out. Last night I was out till about midnight. So like I said at the beginning, I was provided personal protection for Deez Wave. I think that's how you pronounce it. Deez Wave, or his name is Dae Sung, South Korean K-pop star. So he performed live at the Hordern Pavilion in Moore Park. So we provided him with personal protection from when he arrived to Sydney, to his hotel, and then to and from the venue. Speaking of jobs, what do you do? So I'm in the security industry. I've been in the industry for about almost 5 years now. Um, but I do have a background in various law enforcement agencies prior to that. Um, so I live and breathe law enforcement. I support the police all the time. I assist them when possible. But myself, I'm very passionate about security as a whole. So just to piggyback on that, my previous answer, SB. So coming back from the Horden Pavilion last night, coming through Surrey Hills, I gotta tell you, it was dead. There was just no one about in Surrey Hills last night. Surrey Hills used to be packed, no matter what day, what time you go. But last night, it's completely dead. Yeah, so we provide VIP security as well. So we've looked after a lot of high-profile persons, most of which I can't name, but we're talking former prime ministers to international political delegates, to various well-known celebrities, singers, artists, sporting or athletes. So we've been around, and I do. I love what I do. So it's very dynamic. It's very different. I actually enjoy doing what I do. I don't. I take all the opportunity, when it comes to me to get hands on and be out in the field. And so I love being out in the field. Although my time now is more spent, office work and back end planning for large projects and things like that. But if the opportunity presents itself, I'm out in the field. Yeah, you could put it down to cost of living as well. That's restricted a lot of people from going out, even on a Friday and Saturday night now. I mean, you do see, the young people will go out because they've just got no responsibility in life. But we're talking more sort of, let's say, the post-teen age, the working class, even young families. It's hard to go out. Everything's so expensive. You go out for a meal, it's expensive. You go out to the movies, it's expensive. So I get it, and that has deferred a lot of people from going out, and I think they're more inept to be spending their money elsewhere. Security clearances. So the specific areas you do have to have special clearance. Like for instance, you've got the Red ASIC, which allows you all access in the airport. And then obviously you need to be licensed guard to be able to even take on any security work. If you want to start your own security company or be a provider, then you need to obtain the proper licenses, insurances, which aren't cheap, and not cheap at all to maintain. So you've got to have a New South Wales security master license, which allows you to operate and employ licensed security guards. You need to have your public liability of 20 million, and you also need to have workers' comp. Not to mention, you need to get your own contracts. But for bodyguard work, like I said, if you join a company and you do the bodyguard course, I think the bodyguard course is about $2,500 to $3,000 just to get that subclass. It is very specialized. I wouldn't say that it's a huge demand in Australia. However, there are a lot of opportunities for VIP work and bodyguard work if the company that you work for, has the logistics in place to be able to provide elite security or VIP security. All right, guys, I think I'm going to have to call it an afternoon. Got an appointment shortly, so look, this was an experience. Hopefully, I'll put it out there again when I plan on coming back on live, probably every couple of days or so. So if we can try and get the momentum going, we'll have more things to talk about. I need to probably get a proper setup, microphone, and all that sort of jazz. Look, I'm always in my car. I'm in my car a lot, so that's probably my mobile office anyway. So, my shorts and my videos and things like that, you'll probably most likely see me in a car. It's just, I can't help it. I'm always out and about for work and personal things. So my car is actually my office. But yeah, it was nice talking to you all. Thank you for listening, and join me next time. See you guys.